Hey all, this is Kasak Kepper from New World Dimensions, and it's a beautiful breezy night. Today I wanted to talk to you about the two realms of existence and why it's important to understand that. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about Gandhi and his movement, his revolutionary movement to free the Indian people from, those people in India, from British rule and subjugation. And in fact, I have a statue, as you'll see behind me, of Gandhi. One thing that's interesting about him is that Dr. Martin Luther King's movement, his nonviolence movement, was said to take a page from Gandhi's playbook. However, one of the things that we don't know or is not told to us from mainstream media and historians is that Gandhi himself was a racist, that he did not like black people. And that's a very harsh statement, but if you do your research and study Gandhi's work, you'll see that he worked in South Africa and he wrote extensively on his observations of black people, and he was referred to them as like kafars, which is a derogatory term for black people. And he actually, in a paper that he published, a newspaper that he was publishing, he actively tried to rally against blacks, saying that most blacks that he observed in Africa were lazy, had no aspirations, and so on and so forth. So we have to, my point being is that we have to get out of accepting mainstream information in media or those things that are coming from the historians without doing the proper research ourselves to understand what's behind that. And unfortunately, Dr. Martin Luther King's movement, Dr. King himself, probably didn't understand the full scope of Gandhi's ideology because he was very limited in what he saw as so-called freedom and liberation was only for his people, but didn't understand that when he looked at black people, that black people all across the globe were also fighting for similar rights from oppression against white supremacists. But unfortunately, he couldn't make that association that the rights that he's fighting for should be equivalent to the rights that all people of color should be fighting for, which is to get out of any type of oppression, any type of slavery, any type of subjugation. So enough of that. Now back onto the subject that I wanted to touch base with you on was the two realms of existence. Now we live in a linear realm or linear world where things happen from beginning to end, meaning that there is a process, beginning, middle, and end. This is what we call is the objective world, meaning it's the objective realm, where you see things that we can say are objects. We see car, we see building, we see person, we see teapot. Again, the objective realm, where we look at things that are of a nonlinear perspective. That is called the subjective realm, and many New Age alchemists refer to that realm as the source of which all emanates from, which is consciousness, the consciousness of the Supreme Being. Now, interesting enough, the Kemetic people, when they started talking about how everything came into existence, and I'm not talking about the Big Bang, because there was something before the Big Bang, so which was Neteru, or God, Yahweh, Jehovah, was the source of everything, consciousness. And there was only one. There was only the aspect of being conscious of being conscious. And when consciousness looked in upon itself, that was the first level of creation, because the one became two, because there was a recognition that, hey, I am conscious. And in the Kemetic scriptures, it said the first thing that God created was Ma'at, the law, the foundation upon which everything else would stand upon. So from the one became two. Consciousness realized it is conscious and looked back upon itself and divided, and that's where we get individuality. That's when things of the entire universe and everything we see around us became individualized, and that became a linear existence. The nonlinear existence is the subjective realm, the realm of the one consciousness. So why is this all important to understand these two different realms? Because what you have to understand, and quantum physics will validate this, that everything emanates from the one source. That really, the individualization that exists in a linear realm only exists for the sake of process. Again, for the sake of having a beginning, middle, and end. But if you go back to the nonlinear existence, the source of everything, which is the subjective realm, there is no labels, no definitions of anything. So walking around calling yourself a Muslim or a Christian or a black person or a white person or a Chinese person, Indian person, is a quality of the objective realm. But the reality is that where everything emanates from, there is no definitions, there is no labels, there is no individualization of things. Because realistically, when you get beyond the physical, we all are consciousness. We are expression of the universe. The universe wants to have an experience, therefore we are vehicles for the universe to have that experience. Consciousness placed within the physical body. So you're not the physical body. You are not a dentist. You are not a doctor. You're not a lawyer. You're not somebody. You're not a financer or a banker. You are consciousness, essentially, experiencing the world. That's who you are. And take it even further. You're all that has ever been and ever will be. Your power is infinite. You were neither created nor will you be destroyed, because who you are is part and parcel of the Supreme Being. Does that make sense? And I think that a lot of what causes the trouble in the world is the fact that we use the left brain, which is chiefly responsible for separating things, labeling things, and defining things. We use the left brain to the extreme to where it causes so much strife and difficulties. And we split hairs so much. I'm a Sunni Muslim, or I'm this Muslim, but I'm a Southern Baptist Christian, or, and it gets to a point where we use those things to create conflict. Now, again, if you understand me and you understand my philosophy, that these are constructed conflicts. These are conflicts that have been put together by a group, an individual group, who wants to create strife and individualization so that we cannot unite. We cannot see that we all emanate from the same source, that we all are really one. We all are one. We all share the same consciousness. That's why some people will have thoughts that other people will have. Thoughts are transferable. So when you understand that secret and that key to life, then you won't walk around with this self-righteous pride that, oh, well, I am a Christian, so-and-so. You're not a Christian. You're not a Muslim. You're not a Catholic. You are consciousness having an experience, because when Netta created the universe, the first thing Netta created was the law, the foundation for which everything would stand on. Netta did not create Christianity as the first thing. He did not create Islam. So understand that and who you are at the core. And then you can understand that you can liberate yourself, because if you understand that you emanate from the same source as the Supreme Being, and the Supreme Being is everything and anything. You see, that source is no thing. It's not anything, it's no thing. Because it is the basis of which everything comes out of. So it is the source of everything, but yet again, you can't qualify it or quantify it. So think about that. It's a deep subject. This is Kasagma Keparu for New World Dimensions, and that's all for now.